This is Algebra 2B, Statistics Lesson 4, Histograms and Percentiles. Okay, so a histogram, it's like a bar graph. It looks like a bar graph, but instead of displaying categorical data or discrete data, like a true bar graph, histograms display continuous data. And it does that by using a range or an interval. On x-axis. I'm going to go back and erase that. It's funny. I'm sorry. So a true bar graph is going to be like how many reds, how many blues, how many greens, categorical or discrete data. Versus a histogram is going to say how many in this interval, how many between 5 and 10, how many between 10 and 20, how many between 20 and 30, okay? And that interval is what we call the bin width. Interval size. Basically the scale on the x-axis. I did it again. X-axis. And one more definition, percentile rank. That's the number lower than so if you were told like you're in the 60th percentile for height, that means there are 60% of people lower than you, okay? Let's try a couple problems. Example A. How many metropolitan areas are included in this graph? We're looking at metro areas growth. How many metro areas? We're going to look at the height of each bar and then add them together. So like in this bar between 25 and 30, there's exactly one metro area that grew between 25 and 30. Between 30 and 35, it looks like we had 9 metros that grew between 30 and 35. Between 35 and 40, it looks like a 6, 1, 6, 1, 1. So how many metros altogether? We need to add up each of those bars, okay? So 1 and 9 and 6 and 1 and 6 and 1 and 1. Looks like there are 25 metro areas included in the histogram. Range. We talked about range before with measures of spread, I think, and that would be the maximum minus the minimum, okay? Now the problem with a histogram is you don't actually know the data. Like in this 9 tall bar, for example. I know that there are 9 that grew between 30 and 35, but I don't actually know what they grew. I don't know if they grew 31 or 33 or 32.6, right? I just know that they were somewhere between 30 and 35. So since I don't know the data values, I don't know the max, I don't know the min, I can only approximate or estimate the range. I can't actually calculate it. But I know that there was one data point somewhere between 80 and 85, and there was one data point somewhere between 25 and 30. So I'm going to say approximately 85 as my max minus approximately 25 as my minimum. I'm going to estimate that the range is about 60. Again, I don't know that the range is 60. I'm just saying it's about 60. What is the bin width? Bin width is how wide the intervals are. So since we're going from 25 to 30, 30 to 35, 35 to 40, we are definitely going by 5. How many metro areas grew between 35 and 40%? Okay, here's my 35, here's my 40. I'm just looking at how many in this bar here, and we already have that labeled. There are 6. Last one, what is the percentile rank of 35%? Percentile rank is how many are lower than the given value, okay? So we're looking at how many are lower than 35%. I'm going to put those ones back. 35% happens to be right here. So we're looking at everything lower than 35%. That looks like a 9 and a 1. Okay. There are 10 metro areas that grew less than 35%. But percentile rank, we're looking for a percent answer. So we're also going to say out of the 25, right? We got that up here. Out of the 25 that are in the graph altogether. So 10 out of the 25 metros grew less than 35%. And 10 out of 25 as a percentage is 40%. So they are in the 40th percentile because 40% grew less than them. Letter B, data set gives the number of hours of use before each of 14 batteries required recharging. Okay, so how long does that battery last? Construct a histogram of the data. To make a histogram, we're definitely going to need the minimum and the maximum so that we can help scale our axis and choose our bin width. Okay, I see a 27 as my low. I feel like 58 is my high, so I got to go somewhere from 20 to 60 approximately. I'm going to start with 20. Let's go 30, 40, 50, 60. We have a little extra space at the end, but that's okay. And I'm going to choose to go by 5, bin width of 5. So I know there's not going to be anything in this column because I don't have anything lower than 25, but it'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 bars. That seems okay. Let's start with how many in our 20 to 25? Nothing. How many in our 25 to 30? I have one value here between 25 and 30, so I'm going to draw a 1 tall bar right here. You can shade those if you feel like shading them. Make it look pretty. How many between 30 and 35? It looks like I have 1. Oops, I lied. He's 36. He's too tall. Let's erase him. And I'm going to erase that one too, so I don't think I already counted him. 30 and 35. 1. 1. Another 1 tall bar between 30 and 35. Between 35 and 40. 1. 2. 3, 4. We got a 4 tall bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. Between 40 and 45. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Between 45 and 50. 1. And between 50 and 55. 1, 2. And finally, 1 for between 55 and 60. So there is my histogram. I'm going to number up the side for good measure. And maybe add some labels. Batteries. Hours. And we'll go number. He moved. I'm sorry. There we go. Beautiful. Finish histogram. How many batteries lasted more than 50 hours before needing to charge? 50 is here. More than 50 would be 1, 2, 3, right? 3. Letter C, what percent of batteries lasted between 40 and 50? Here's 40, here's 50. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now the difference between question B and C, B said how many, whereas C said what percent. So I'm also going to have to divide this by how many altogether to get that answer. And it did tell me there were 14. I could have also counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or even 1, 2, 3, 4. You get the idea. 14. 5 out of 14 is 0.357. So we're going to round that to the 36th percentile. If you required, oops, not percentile, just 36%. 36% lasted between 40 and 50 hours. Last question is percentile rank. Percentile rank is going to be calculated very similarly to what percent, but we're looking at how many lower than, okay? So 45 is right here. How many lower than 45? We're going to count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, again, out of the 14 altogether, lasted 45 hours. That rounds to the 71st percentile. So that means if you had a battery that lasted 45 hours, that would be in the 71st percentile. That's all for the notes. Good luck on the exercises, and please let me know if you have questions.